One of the reasons we're doing this Argos Catalogue thing is that it was announced last week that they would stop printing them. They would be available only online. I must admit, I thought, so what? That's the future.
Yeah,
that's the way it is.
now.
But it is absolutely incredible. We've started looking through these, and it's just, I don't know how to describe it, but it brings back so many memories. I just want to show you things I just want to show you things here that I've just opened here. And Ruth, here is a cassette recorder.
Yeah.
Did you ever worry about saving up for a cassette recorder? Do you know how much they were back then?
How much?
20 quid.
See, that was a lot for us.
Well, no.
That's we used to tape Top of the Pops on. And
Yeah,
you have to press the
20
before
quid.
the DJ started talking
20
again.
quid. And I mean, something like this would have been complete state of the art. You know, a Ferguson, what is this actually called? A Studio 200, a music centre. They call these a music centre, where you could play your records and you could tape from that as well. And then there was, look at these record boxes. We used to have these for your singles and for your LPs and your cassettes. Look, you could store all these. Anyway,
This is my favourite. That was really like our sitting room. Not ours. That was like our sitting room. Everything was brown and orange, do you remember?
Yeah.
Brown and orange, all the cushions. Yeah.
Well, look, it is an amazing thing, but Professor and social historian Leigh Sparks has collected every edition dating back to 1973, and he joined us now from his home in Stirling. Professor, very good to talk to you. We would look at this, and, you know, some people see a catalogue. You see an historical document here.
Indeed. I think the way in which you're looking at the catalogues and have just done that are really quite interesting, show the memories and they bring back, but it shows the way in which people lived in those times and purchased them. The fact that we've got all of them and the record of them allows us to look at change over that period and how tastes have changed, how technology's changed, how prices have changed. Interesting, you said the cassette player was £20. If that's the 1973 catalogue, that's equivalent to about £200 now.
Right.
So substantial price, really.
Incredible.
You've got every copy, Leigh, is that correct? Did you used to collect the Argos Catalogue anyway, or did this start, you know, as a project and then you had to ask other people for them?
Yeah, I'm a professor of retail studies, and we have a big retail group at the University of Stirling. And in the mid-1990s, I was approached by someone who knew about the group who said they were clearing out their attic and they had a collection of Argos catalogues. And they had about 15 or 20 of them. So I said, OK, we'll take them, have a look at them. And then I realised what a record of retailing and consumer taste they could be, and decided to try and build all of the missing ones and then keep on going with them. So I asked colleagues, friends, people in the university, what did they have in their houses? And a whole pile of the ones I was missing came out. And then I had to buy a couple on eBay to fill in the set. But I now have the complete set.
Well, and we can study so much from this. It is absolutely incredible. I mean, we've just picked the 70s. Ruth and I would have been teenagers, 14, 15, those times. I mean, it can apply to whatever age, whatever stage you are in life. One of the things I was looking at there, Professor, and it's interesting from a retail point of view, I'm looking at company names like Ferguson with electronics, Pifco, which I remember, I think was to do with toys or bikes or something, Prestige, Pye, P-Y-E, Sunbeam, Thorn, Tower. I remember them, but whatever happened to these companies?
Yeah, it's a lot of those brands that we had, and I think a lot of the companies we would have seen in the early part were very much British companies. But one of the things you can note if you start looking at a particular product sector over the period of the catalogue is the way in which those brands change, the way in which globalization and international products start coming and the big international brands start appearing. So many of those brands disappeared, though some of them you still see. I was looking at the luggage catalogues and the luggage part, and Antler as a brand is still there, and there's some other brands you can recognize, but a lot have gone by the wayside.
Yeah.
When we were talking about this yesterday, saying we were going to do this as an item, most people said Christmas. It was all about Christmas, the Argos Catalogue for kids. You know, you got given the Argos Catalogue, parents would just kind of leave it on the table and the kids would turn down the pages and circle things for Santa's list. That seems to be the biggest memory for a lot of us.
Yeah, and the fact that it was such a huge print run, it was in most people's houses, means that memory of how things were done is actually a very common thing. So the catalogue was given to children, often to keep them quiet in some cases, but also, as you say, in order to develop what might they want for Christmas, what would they want, and then get a sense of what they might be able to get from their parents, but also the excitement of having other things as well. So it's a book in many ways of, as has been described, a book of dreams for many consumers.
I think we're going to make some of these dreams come true. We're looking at saws there, we're looking at wall clocks, it is incredible. So we'll just keep showing you more and more pictures at home.
I had that.
What?
I had that clock. See that clock?
Yes.
Because we had a lot of orange in the 70s.
So you keep
in our
telling
bed.
me.
Yeah, so that I had that clock. Isn't that lovely?
There you are. Is that lovely? Is that
It's lovely. That was like the best present.
Well, it was a very futuristic, I'm sure, then.
Exactly.
But listen, throw us up some pictures there, like air rifles, for instance. Let's see. You used to be able to order an air rifle. Can you believe that, really, from a catalogue, Professor?
Yeah, there's some things in there that now, with the way we look at it, jar air rifles is one there. A lot of ashtrays and lighters for cigarettes would be another one you wouldn't see in quite the same way these days. So again, it shows the way in which our tastes and our behaviours have changed over that period as well. And that, I think, tells us a lot about consumers and about society.
Yeah.
And sometimes things come full circle. Hostess trolley. We're going to show you hostess trolley here, which my wife is just absolutely obsessed with. What is the obsession with hostess trolley?
Well, that's not the hostess trolley. That's more the trolley that you brought things in. I'm talking about the ones where you kept food warm.
Oh, right. Do
you remember that at Christmas?
Yeah.
And
are they back again?
Well, I don't know, but there's big commercial ones, kind of catering ones. But I think a lot of us are looking at this now, Leigh, and saying, I'd like some of those products back.
Yeah, and I think you do see some of those products that actually come back. There's a nostalgia to some of them. In one of the early catalogues, you'll see a range of different lamps. Lava lamps is a good example, and you see those coming back. SodaStream I've also seen brought back in a couple of places as well. So you see...
Eamonn's just bought a SodaStream.
Yeah.
So this memory is really quite interesting, I think.
It is. I mean, it is amazing memories. So your collection, you're all good now. You don't need anybody to send you an Argos catalogue. You've got them all.
I've got them all at the moment, yes. And they're safely locked away. And eventually, as I begin to do more work on them, they'll probably end up in the University of Stirling archive, where we have a big archive of retail history.
I think that's amazing.
Yeah,
and is it true, Professor, that Ruth and I are also old enough to remember, and some of our viewers will remember this as well, Green Shield stamps, where you used to be able to go to the petrol station, and when you bought petrol, you got stamps, incentives, and then you traded them in for gifts. Did Argos replace Green Shield?
To an extent, yes. Green Shield stamps were brought in the 1960s. Tesco were probably the big users of Green Shield stamps. You would collect them, you'd stick them into books, and as inflation took on and as double and triple stamps came, the books became bigger and bigger, and you would redeem those books for products from a catalogue or a shop. The person who had the franchise in the UK for Argos, for Green Shield stamps, then founded Argos. So there is a direct link back to Green Shield stamps.
Yeah. I'm even just going back just 20 years or so, 20 years ago. This is the 2000 album. It says Fresh Ideas. That's what your phone looked like 20 years ago, right? So it's just history in the making. It is fascinating, Professor. We can see why you're so interested in this. We can see why this is a narrative. I mean, actually, if you put this in perspective, if we had a catalogue for the Romans, for the Anglo-Saxons, for the Normans, think of all the things we would have known about the past.
Yeah, it's a sort of doomsday book of products in some ways, isn't it? Yeah. Over the last 40, 50 years.
Incredible. Well, thank you very much indeed for showing us the science in all of that. We really appreciate it. That's Professor Leigh Sparks. He's Professor of Retail Studies at the University of Stirling.